Hey, welcome to the Wine of the Month Club Winemaker Series. I'm so excited to have Kevin O'Brien here from Kangarilla Road, right?
That's it.
It's always hard for me to say Kangarilla. Is that an animal?
It could be.
It's a clue to put together, right? Anyway, it's great to be here. He's here from Australia, and we are just going to taste through some of his wines. So what are we doing here in America this trip?
Well, trying to sell some wine.
Well, okay.
Paul's one of our champions for Kangarilla Road, and we're here to meet the trade, meet people like yourself.
Making the rounds, you're East Coast?
The rounds. No, just concentrating on California. Yeah.
Is it closer?
It's much
shorter.
closer.
Okay, good.
Yeah, it's only 15 hours away.
Yeah, only 15 hours, right. He's also the winemaker for our 2-Up Shiraz, which is so popular, and this is a great wine. And I love the new vintage that you guys came out with.
It's great. 08 is looking really, really juicy.
Really nice wine.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to start with the Hellbent, which is a 2008 Shiraz Cabernet. Now, this is a wine that I'm really desperately trying to find a way to fit into the club, and I thought it'd be fun to taste live with Kevin here. And look at that color. Isn't that something?
Depth, isn't it?
It really does. And this is from what area?
Well, this is out of what we call the southern Fluria. McLaren Vale sits on the Fluria Peninsula,
yes.
And then southeast of us is Langhorne Creek. Most of the fruit in this wine is coming out of Langhorne Creek. It sits on one of Australia's largest coastal lakes, so it's got a very heavy influence from both the lake itself and the Southern Ocean beyond it. Hot days, cool nights, generally tend to get lots of red fruits. And being Cabernet, of course, with it at 25%, we're seeing some more darker fruits, and certainly the Cabernet here is giving structure to the wine.
Yeah, clearly the darkness.
And the colour.
I mean, really, you can barely see through that. Yeah. Is this fine filtered, or is it both?
We don't filter any of our wines. They go through what we call rigor mesh, which is a 45 micron filter, and it just takes out the, if you like, the nuts
chunky
and bolts.
things. Yeah, right.
Yeah. Not a big fan of fine.
What was the term somebody told me? Bug catcher the other day. They said,
something like
is that what it is?
Yeah. No bugs in the wine.
Right. Okay. But the nose is all berries and dark fruit. I get some dried fruit, really big nose.
It's got that nice sort of, I call it like a dry extract. And it's something I think that you see coming from certainly quality regions and quality vineyards.
And the depth and the layers. This has tons of aging potential, it seems like. Enough acid in the back.
2008 was a very generous year. Drought winter in 2007. 2008 summer was we're upside down, of course.
Yes, that's right. Yes.
Down under, so our seasons are a little different. But very dry summer with a bit of intermittent high heat days. You know, quite a few days over 100 degrees. So not surprisingly, these wines are quite textural and quite rich.
Tons of texture, and I just noticed when I poured this, and look at the legs on this wine. They're just. Yeah, I mean, it takes forever to clear the glass.
Yeah, and it's carrying about 14% alcohol. It's not overly alcoholic, but that texture in those legs just coming from the viscosity of the wine.
That's right. And I don't get high alcohol when I smell that wine.
No, not at all.
Okay, here's a very interesting wine to me, and I tasted the first one just a few years ago, and I've had some French, but you guys seem to have invented this idea, and that's mixing or blending, Shiraz and Viognier, which is a white grape, which also is a very opulent white grape. It has tons of character, and I just find it interesting that we blend them together. This is the 90 plus sellers, Shiraz Viognier from the McLaren Vale. Now, tell me about what happens when we put white grapes and red grapes together.
Well, particularly these two varieties, apart from a deepening of colour, particularly if you co-ferment, and there's a whole lot of chemistry surrounding that, but basically the white wine or grape chemicals and the red colour chemicals in the skins come together and form a new colour complex that actually come back to us as a darker colour.
So interesting.
The more the point, here the white, of course, is producing typically quite an aromatic style of white wine.
Yes.
So those aromatics are actually being transferred, if you like, to the combination blend. So here what you're seeing is if you like, the Viognier is giving perhaps maybe a feminine touch to the masculine Shiraz.
I love the wines, and I featured a couple. And this one, when you came in Tuesday, just blew me away.
The Viognier, to me, and it's only at about 4%, but it's enough to actually give it a nice aromatic lift, and certainly some wonderful textural qualities on the palate.
I really get it on the palate.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't get as much in the nose. I don't get that tropical nose, but it seems to have subdued the Shiraz nose a little bit, right?
It just helps to tone everything down, gives it some wonderful elegance. And of course, elegance doesn't come at the expense of aroma and flavour. There's plenty of flavour there.
And how's the aging potential when you do this? change it much?
Really, these wines can go on for sort of 10, 15 years if the cellaring's good.
Correct.
If the closure's good, which of course is perfect.
Yes.
It should go 15 years in a good cellar. I
can say that about 75% now, maybe 60% of the wines I get from Australia to sample are in screw caps. Now, is that sort of you guys talk about that in the industry down there, or are you just doing your own because you like the way it seals? I mean, I love them. I think they're great.
It's almost now second nature. I mean, we moved over to screw cap entirely in 2004.
Oh, really? Wow.
And we'd never go back to cork, right, because it's just unfortunately it's a flawed. It's
bad. It's bad.
I mean, it does. We can't see anything good coming out of it at the moment. Screw cap for us, we haven't had any problems whatsoever, and the wines just retain their freshness, and they age so wonderfully slowly.
I had a customer call the other day, and this nice mature woman that called, and she canceled the subscription to the club because we sent her a screw cap wine, and of course she's from the school of thought when I used to stock the shelves of my dad's wine shop with Gallo jug wines that were screw caps, and it's just not like that anymore.
No, well, I guess it's sad that there's that historical link, if you like, that screw cap was generally associated with cheaper wine, and that was certainly the case, but that's not the history anymore.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. We're seeing $100 plus bottles of wine under screw cap.
Right, good.
And coming out of this country too.
So did you hear that? Because I want to document that.
Yeah, I've seen Napa cabs under screw cap.
Exactly. This is the Kangarilla Road, so it's under your brand name, under your winery name.
This is our primary premium label, if you like. This is really what I guess our business is about. This is where particularly all the passion and the romance is. This is from a selection of vineyards from around McLaren Vale, including one of ours. Very low yielding vines. We're talking between sort of 1 and 2 tonne to the acre, producing again wonderful expression of the variety.
The nose is beautiful.
Lovely dark fruits. You see dark cherries. Certainly see little hints of herbaceousness and cassis, all those elements that tells you that it's actually Cabernet, which is important.
And the layers in the mid palate, I get all those dark fruits. I get some herbs. I get some. Is this an oak age? How long is this an oak?
This is about 14 months in combination of new 1, 2, and 3-year-old oak. Very important that we let the tannins, the natural tannins of the variety itself, actually do their job in terms of flavour. The oak, for me, is there to just fill the gaps, if you like. It's there to balance and not to override.
What I was going to say is it's not an opulent part of the oak, it's not an opulent part of the wine. It does just sort of stay around the periphery and sort of fill in. It's really great.
And here, what I like about this wine is that the fruit tannins, which are abundant, are actually combining really nicely with the fruit characters itself, and give this, if you like, a secondary flavour they talk about that just lingers and lingers.
It does. I still taste it.
Yeah.
And that mid palate's full of those fruit characters.
Yeah, and that's exactly what it's all about. Fine wine is about flavour that lasts forever.
We got to find a way to get this into the club.
Well,
you're not going to argue with me, are you?
Here I am.
It's a pleasure having you here today. Thank you so much. Pleasure tasting with you.
Cheers.
Cheers to you.
Cheers.
Salute.
Absolutely. Cheers.
That's really something. You push it.